How to unlock creativity and trust. Today we are going to discuss this topic. It's very important to know because we have a lot of generic messages. It doesn't provoke the trust feeling. That's why I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Melanie Deziel. How are you?
Good, good. I'm excited to chat about this.
Yeah, big pleasure. I love to speak with book authors. I see your awesome books on your background. Melanie, before we start, just tell me about yourself, experience, background, about your books and how these books can help readers, including me, to get benefits, to improve creativity and trust.
Yeah, so I'm a journalist turned marketer. So I'm taking all the things that I learned as a journalist, how to talk to people, how to find stories, how to make content interesting for audiences, and applying that now in the marketing world. So I spent some time at the New York Times, the Huffington Post, Time Incorporated, and for the last 8 years or so, I've been out on my own working primarily as a speaker, an educator, and a corporate trainer, trying to help teach those same skills to folks in the marketing world. So, the Content Fuel Framework and Prove It are my two books. Content Fuel Framework is all about how to come up with content ideas. So if you're having any sort of like writer's block or you're feeling stuck, or you mentioned generic messages, a lot of time if you've been in business for a while, you feel like I'm saying the same things over and over, then that book is a great resource to help come up with additional content ideas. And Prove It is all about, this just came out in October, and it's all about how you can use content to back up your business claims. So we're telling our audience a lot of things. We're making a lot of promises, setting their expectations, but making sure that we're also creating content that proves that those claims are true. So we're showing them and not just telling them all these wonderful things about us.
Nice, nice. Melanie, we chatted a little bit before the podcast, and I told you, I'm so busy. I have no time to read all books. I love reading books, but it's a pity that I have only 24 hours a day. But Elon
Uh,
Musk has the same time, so we are on the same boat. And can you give me a strong reason to read your books? What kind of benefits can I get by reading your books? Because I usually choose priorities, what
yeah.
can help me more, and give a strong reason to my audience, what kind of benefits they can get by reading your books.
Sure. So one thing that I think is really special about the books that I create is I really strive to have no fluff. So the books are not long. They're very well organized, a lot of white space. Like it's not going to be a stressful read. It's going to be something you can do in probably 2 hours or so. And the goal is just to give you the most actionable information possible. So one of the pieces of feedback that I get all the time from folks is, wow, that was a really quick read, or it's something that I keep nearby as a resource because it's really easy to move around in. So if you're looking for something that is a quick read, but is going to give you a lot of actionable things you can take right away, then I think that's a good enough reason, hopefully, to make it move up in your queue.
Yeah, nice, nice. I love practical tips because if you learn a lot, read a lot, and do nothing, you get nothing. So we need
Yeah.
to do something, because and we have short memory. I like the method that Bill Gates uses. He reads books and makes notes and think how he can implement, execute information from books. So yeah, I love it because it's not like quantity, it's more about quality of getting this information. And
Absolutely.
Melanie, let's talk about trust. It's very important. I remember like 12 years ago when I started my digital marketing journey, I didn't consider trust because competition was low, so
Yeah.
low. Today, it's hard. It's hard to convince customers because they have choices. They can choose your competitor. So, can you
Yeah.
tell how to provoke this trust feeling?
100%. Yeah. So, essentially, what we want to think about is that whatever metric is most important for you. So, if that's purchases, downloads, signups, whatever it is that you're measuring, that is preceded by trust. Trust comes first. People don't sign up with people that they don't trust. They don't buy from companies they don't trust. They don't subscribe to people they don't trust. So you don't necessarily have to think of trust as the thing you should be measuring, but just with that understanding that in order to get them to whatever that final step is, I have to earn their trust first. And so it becomes sort of like a lens that you put over all the things that you're doing to say, how can I make this more credible? How can I make this something that people are more likely to trust? How can I be more transparent with my audience so they feel like they're getting the truth from me? So it's kind of something that you put over all the things that you do. But the primary thing to think about is that as you said, people are very skeptical. There's a lot of competition, and people have lots of reasons to be skeptical. There's lots of scam artists out there. There's lots of people making promises that they don't keep. So what we need to do is help our customers, help our potential customers feel comfortable that we're going to deliver on those promises that we make, that we actually do deliver those results, that we can achieve the things we're promising. And the best way to do that is to actually show them that you've done it before. So
Yeah.
case studies, corroborating, back up your claims by, having clients or experts kind of talk about the work that you do and the results you've created. Testimonials work really well for that. You can demonstrate it by just actually showing them, like show them that you're doing the work, show them, you going about your day to day as you're making the promises come true that you talk about all the time.
Yeah, nice, nice. Love it, love it. Agree with that. Okay, let me share a story. I know book authors love sharing stories. When I read any book, I can consume all the stories. I can live on the stories. Sometimes I can forget about meal, water, sleep because I'm part of the story. But this story is about creativity. Lloyd Richardson uh, published a book 11 years ago. Uh, and he spent 14 years to write this book. After publishing, nobody bought this book. Probably he got some sales, but not good. And he spent 11 years with marketing, sales, but nobody cared about this book. Then his daughter posted content on TikTok about this book from account with 0 followers. This video became viral. Plus 50 million people watched this video, and this book is bestseller on Amazon. Of course, I watched this video because I want to know how to film video that can earn like 50 million views to make a book bestseller on Amazon. And what I found, it's simple, not the best ever design, just simple design, but creative, so creative. After watching this video, I got curiosity. I want to read this book. I'm interested to read this book because what kind of book is this? If author spent 14 years to write a book, I know book authors usually spend like 6 months, an year, 2 years, but 14 years, it's a lot. So this video provoked curiosity, and that was creative. It's not like generic messages. I don't know how many videos after that film that someone spent like 12 years, 20 years. But because when you create first, you can be creative. Can you tell about creativity? How to be creative compared to a lot of marketing messages that we have today?
Yeah, creativity is one of those things that is very difficult to define, right? Because different people see it differently and it's very situational. What's creative for that book that might not work for a food brand. The same tactic might not work. So, generally speaking, when people see something and say, "Wow, that's really creative," it's a signal that there's something different about it. And different could mean that you're using a different format than usual. It could mean, in your case, you said this book, they took a lot longer to write it than other books. So that stood out in your mind. It's like, wow, this is different. Something's different here. So that's one of the things you can do is really just look for ways to be different. Now, not all type of different is good. There are certain things that we do that are for a good reason, but when we're thinking of our marketing, is there a different place we could be marketing that we're not, like choosing TikTok if that's not a place where you've promoted the book before? Is there a different way we could do it? Normally we talk about the book. Well, what if we show the book? What if we read an excerpt from the book? What if we illustrate, the first scene of the book so that people want to know what's coming next? And then thinking about how do we deliver that? So delivering it through video, delivering it through maybe there's an infographic that shows how long they took to write it and what are all the places over those 14 years where the book was written and how many words are in it, right? So just thinking of what are things that are different? How can I do something that I don't see other people doing all the time? That kind of response often comes when people see something that's really standing out as different. And that's something they teach us in journalism school, is that difference or uniqueness is one of the main things that people care about when they're looking at the news. There's this phrase where they say, if a dog bites a man, that's not news. Like, dogs bite people all the time. But if a man bites a dog, people want to know about it because that doesn't usually happen, right? It's something surprising. It's different. So hopefully, no biting involved. But look for those things you can do that are going to stand out because it's different than what people are seeing everywhere else.
Yeah, love it, love it. By the way, I found that journalists are much better copywriters than copywriters. If you have this background,
It's true.
because it's different mindset.
Hmm.
Copywriters are looking for ways how to write a lot more, but journalists are looking for ways how to share something new,
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah. Well,
So yeah,
and oftentimes to write less, right? When in
yeah.
journalism, I mean, it's less so of a problem now that everything is so online. We have sort of unlimited space to write, but the origins of journalism and how we're trained come from, you have this much space. Like, this is how much room there is in the newspaper for your story. It has to fit in this box, right? Or it has to fit in one column only this long. So we're used to trying to be as efficient with our words as possible, and not include any fluff. Really try to get straight to the point.
Nice, nice. Okay, Melanie, my question about business content, business book, because you write business books. And for example, if I compare, I don't know, any entertainment book, for example, Jack London, I love this author. Yeah, I think he won my, you know, he got my mind, heart, everything. Because when I take any of his book, I can live on this book. Uh, but I found some business books are good for sleep. Yeah, really. When you have problems with sleep, you can take it.
It's
You know,
true.
it's valuable. You need it, but it's boring. And once I spoke with Jim Edwards. He worked in Business Insider 10 years. Then company was sold for $500 million. Great success. And he told me that success of Business Insider depends on creating non-boring content. So if you are talking about business, it's boring. But Business Insider found the way how to create non-boring content. Can you tell how to do it? How to create non-boring content in business niche, in books, in blog articles, everywhere?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways to do it, and obviously different people think different things are exciting, but stories are one of the really important ways to do that. So, generally speaking, if you're just looking at a long list of things, the phone book, a list of phone numbers of everyone in a town, it's not exciting to read. It's the same thing over and over. It's not interesting. If you start creating a story, if you start having beginning, middle, and end, you start asking questions, having curiosity, revealing things as you go, it starts to make it more interesting because people want to know what's coming next. The other thing you can do is look for the tension, right? Look for the tension. Why should people care about this topic? What's at risk for them? Why is this topic important? You have to understand what that is in order to get people to engage with it. Because if you are just writing about it because it's helpful for you, it doesn't do much for your audience. They have to understand, why should I care about this? What's in this for me? What will I get if I keep reading, keep learning? Um, and then again, the other thing you can do is do something surprising. I think being surprising always works. We see these stories all the time of videos going viral, or a local business does something really interesting and it makes the national news. These kinds of things, when you can stand out, it says, wow, they're thinking about this differently. Like, I never thought I would care so much about this particular topic, but they're having fun, they're dancing, they're singing, they're making a joke, and that's not expected. So looking for those things like the tension, especially, what's at stake, why should people care, and emphasizing that, using stories to kind of draw people in and carry them along to the finish line. And then, just finding ways to stand out and do something a little different. I think that's a good way for you to differentiate yourself from a lot of the other more dry business content that's out there.
Yeah, surprising. I love this word. I remember when I watched a movie with my mom, and after watching some time, I felt that I know the end, and I told
Mhm.
her the end. And when it happened, she told me I watched this movie. you know, so but that was similar to 100 other movies like this. So
Yeah,
that was not hard to predict.
right.
Yeah, Melanie, let's talk about something that people are discussing a lot today: AI. I think it's not like the future; it's present, and
Mhm,
that was simple to ignore, hard today, impossible tomorrow. And I spoke with Jeff Coyle. Jeff
mhm,
Coyle, he's co-founder of Market Muse, and he told me in the future we'll have three companies. First company will create AI, develop this technology. The
mhm,
second company will adapt AI to these technologies, and the third types of companies will be obsolete, who can
mm.
leave the trade. So can you tell how you adapt AI today? Because the last time we got a lot of discussions, it's not replacement. Yeah, because when it appeared, most discussions were it's replacement or not. Today we can understand, we can adapt to this technology. So
Right.
your thoughts about AI?
Yeah, so it's I've been talking about this a lot recently. I just recently co-founded the Creator Kitchen, which is like a membership mastermind for creators. And obviously, there's a lot of concerns from our members, like, should we worry about AI? How can we use it as a tool? So we're talking about this a lot. One thing that I think is really incredible is if you think of my co-founder Jay Kenzo says to think of AI like your intern. It's someone who's helping you. So
Yeah.
things that would normally take you a lot of time or, are not necessarily unique to you, things like researching, data entry, outlines, making lists, finding sources, doing research, all these things can be much faster and much more efficient if you use AI to help them. So I'll give you a really tangible example of something I like to do with AI. When I'm outlining an article or outlining a book project or something, I love to paste that into Chat GPT, whatever AI generative tool I'm using, and ask, this is an outline for whatever your purpose is.
Yeah.
Are there any major topics or themes that are missing from this outline? And it does a really good job because it's looking at all the conversation around a topic to say, hey, yes, there's actually two different things that are not in your outline that we see a lot of discussion around. They might be worth including. So it's like it can help you see a blind spot, help you see something you didn't consider including. Um, I know some writers who use it for brainstorming ideas or asking for feedback on an article. Hey, can you edit this or make it shorter? I've done a lot of finding resources. Can you share some recent statistics about this particular topic and include all of the sources? That way I can go and double check them because we all know it's not right all the time, but it can give you a good starting point. So research, finding sources, and just getting feedback on the things that you're creating, I think are really great ways you can use it in your content creation that still preserves like what's special about you and your content, but saves you some time on the back end.
Nice. I check out complaints about AI, and in most cases, complaints like it's not creative, it's generic, and I agree. AI is the best
Yep.
rewriting tool. The
Mhm.
best rewriting, not writing. So
Yep.
eh, I don't know how to get great writing. Of course, you can set up the right prompts. And I remember when Elon Musk did it before he criticized AI, ChatGPT. He shared on Twitter his prompts of using AI, ChatGPT, and when I check out his question, that was hard written question, and I spent a few times to read to understand what Elon Musk wanna ask ChatGPT, and he got this unique reply, really unique because of using the right prompts. But I see when people set up prompts like how to play guitar, how to lose weight, generic prompts. And I spoke with my brother. He has good, mm, good salary. Everything looks fine in accounting. So high position, and he told me that in accounting he doesn't know how to adapt AI. So he told that technologies didn't change for a long time, like 20 years. I don't know. I think the future will be different because I'm not sure that AI ignores this big industry, like plus $144 billion in the US alone, just for services. And can you tell about how to play with AI to become creative? So, any tips about that?
Yeah. So one of the things you can do is ask for ideas. So what I think everyone is creative. Honestly, I think everyone is already creative. And if you're not sure, I always say think about how many ways you've imagined that things could go wrong. You've imagined so many ways that things could go wrong. And that is a really good indication that you actually know how to come up with all kinds of content ideas. You know how to think differently. You know how to kind of like keep ideas flowing. We just don't usually have the right prompt, much like ChatGPT. We don't have the right prompt for our creativity. So sometimes you can use a tool like that, ChatGPT or any generative AI, to kind of give you a starting point. So you can ask what other people are doing, right? So I have actually asked ChatGPT, how can authors use you as a tool to be more efficient? How can writers use you as a tool to be more efficient? Like it'll give you ideas for where to start, kind of help you get things flowing. I think you can also use it to give feedback on an idea. Like I said, I shared, here's my outline. Is there anything missing? I mean, that allows me to create better content that's serving my audience more. So getting feedback on things, asking for ideas. And I think also just it makes you think differently. So to your point about Elon Musk had come up with a very specific prompt and that was able to get different information out of it. I think using it as a tool, right, almost like you're exercising, like practice with your brain. How do I ask questions in different ways to get different response? It's just kind of training your brain, because the reality is anyone who has had to work with freelancers, with a writer or a designer, you already know how to write prompts with ChatGPT because you make briefs. You try to explain to a third party, here's what I want, here's what I don't want, here's an example of something similar. Please make it this long or this size, right? We're used to delivering specific instructions to a third party in hopes of getting back what we want. And if you have done this work before, worked with a freelance writer or a designer, you know that if you give them a bad brief, if you make a bad request, you're going to get something back that's not useful. So I think it's actually can make you a better creator, a better manager, a better collaborator by helping train you to ask better questions and provide better prompts so that the work you're doing with others is going to be stronger as a result.
Yeah, nice, valuable, valuable. Love it, love it. Melanie, I have the question about marketing strategy.
Yeah.
I see you share a lot about marketing, and what I can see when companies they usually check out competitors, analyze them, and replicate, do the same. I think it's not good idea if your competitors have their strong sides. For example, if they are good with YouTube, it doesn't mean that you can film great videos to compete with them. Or in SEO, if someone is good with writing, it's better to find your strong side. And
Hmm.
can you tell how to do it? For example, if you know your competition, you know customers, how to create the right strategy that considers unique selling proposition.
100%. So you're totally right. I fully agree with you, by the way, on looking at what the competition is doing. I think it's helpful information to know. You want to be aware of what your competition is doing, but what they're doing works for them, for their team, their
Yeah.
resources, their audience, and yours are not the same. There's a lot of things similar about your business, but you're not the same. And so the first thing I always tell people to think about, and this it could be for you as an individual or for your team, your organization, what is our first content language? What is the way that we communicate most efficiently? For a lot of people, that's going to be writing. Writing is the way that they can communicate more efficiently. For some folks, like the example you shared, video. They love creating video. They have resources to create video and they communicate very efficiently. So you want to think about that first to say, okay, what is our best way to communicate our message? What are the skills that we have on our team? What are the tools that we have? If we need cameras or microphones or whatever else, um, are we well equipped to tell stories in that way? That's going to give you a good indication of where your content might fit best. If you are really good at writing and not good at video, YouTube is probably not a place where you're going to want to spend a ton of time
Yeah.
because it's not the best fit for the content you're creating. You might look at blogging, you might look at an email newsletter, you might look at something like LinkedIn or or Twitter, where you can just use the written word more easily. If you're really good at creating graphics and images, well, like maybe LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest is a place where you want to be, because that's where images thrive. So that's kind of like the first step, I think, of figuring out where you're going to be able to have the best impact, is to say, what kind of content do we create most effectively, and where does that content, have the best chance of success? So that's one place to start. The other thing I would do if you're looking at your competition is try to figure out what they're not doing. Because if all of your competition is on, maybe you're in a B2B space and all of your competition is on LinkedIn, and they're posting ebooks and they're posting white papers and they're posting PDF reports, you have a real chance to stand out if you're on TikTok. You mentioned accounting. So there's a guy on TikTok. His username is Duke Loves Accounting. And he is TikTok famous. He's got millions of followers talking about accounting, right? And you wouldn't think that. You'd think, oh, accounting, like I have a tie, I have a suit, I have a briefcase, I need to be on LinkedIn being a professional, right? He's over on TikTok doing skits, putting I don't know, like a shirt on his head and pretending that he's another character talking to himself. Like, he's having so much fun, and he's attracting a huge audience because there's very little competition. There's not a bunch of other accountants trying to make it on TikTok. So either looking at what the competition is doing as a way to say, here's what they're not doing, and that's something I could try. Or looking at your own resources and saying, here's what we can create most easily, and where we can have the most success, I think, are the two things you want to start with.
Nice, nice. Love it. Yeah, awesome. I agree. And I want to ask you about patience. It's interesting that I see when content creators lose patience because they can't get results. By the way, most of them lose patience after creating the first piece of content, according to studies. For example,
Yeah.
yeah, most podcasters don't record the second episode of podcast because they can't get results from the first one. I don't know how to do it. Really, guys, you asked me 100 times. I don't know how to get results even after 10 episodes. It takes time. And I
Yeah.
remember Mr. Beast posted content on YouTube an year and a half to get first 1,000 subscribers. PewDiePie did it. He filmed 100 videos to get 285 subscribers. Not a lot, but these well-known influencers didn't give up because of loving what they do. And you mentioned about passion. So without passion, it's better not to do it. Don't force yourself if you are suffering after that. If you love it, then go ahead, 100% all in. You can choose one
Yeah.
platform, go ahead. So Melanie, can you tell about your method to be patient? Because sometimes I see when writers are looking for inspiration, motivation, why they need to write today, but great book authors do their jobs. They don't care about something like this. They have discipline, they have a schedule. So any tips about that?
Yeah, this is something. So my co-founder at Creator Kitchen, Jay Akenzo, is really good about this. He calls it having a practice. He said, I don't get writer's block because I have a deadline. I have to deliver. I have something that needs to be done by a certain time, and that's my job, just like you were saying. So I think having discipline and having some sort of practice, like, this is why I'm doing this, because it's Wednesday and that's when we do this, is a really good way to keep yourself accountable. The other thing you can do is you got to build it into your schedule. That's one thing I see happen a lot, where people say, okay, well, I'm going to put all this effort into YouTube, but did you actually put time on your calendar to film the video, to come up with ideas, to edit the video, to craft the descriptions and the captions and post it and share it? Because that stuff doesn't just happen. So if you're not actually building that time into your calendar, into your schedule, and saying, here's when I'm going to do those things, they're probably not going to get done. It's really easy to forget, blow it off, to have a busy week and not do it when it's not actually part of your to-do list and your calendar as all the other tasks that you do. So those things are important. The thing about patience is, these, as you said, these things do take time. And I think if you're thinking of content as like a get rich quick scheme, or, you want to like hustle and get a side income, in the next 3 weeks, that's not how it works, right? At the end of the day, what we're doing when we create content is building a relationship. We are building a relationship with an audience. They have to learn to trust us. They have to know what to expect from us. And we have to deliver, whether it's entertainment, information, or some other kind of value, consistently enough that they trust we're going to continue to do that. And that just takes time. It just takes time. At the end of the day, if these are all strangers to us right now, right? And if you walked into a restaurant, a bar, a party, you wouldn't expect everyone that you've not met to be your best friend, to be willing to drive you to the airport, to,
Yeah.
be willing to do anything for you. That first moment that you meet, it takes time to build that trust and build that relationship. So, seeing it as a long-term goal and not a short-term sprint goes a long way toward helping you, keep up the pace and know that I should not expect these kinds of results right away. I'm going to build it into my routine. I'm going to continue to do this work regularly so that I can grow that in the long term.
Yeah, I agree. I like to share examples from hobbies. For example, I love playing basketball. Nobody pays money for my hobby. Nobody. I know people can overwatch TV. Nobody pays them. They pay to watch these live shows. So yeah, but they keep doing this day by day because of loving what they do. I think it's the same with
Yeah.
content creation. You need to find what you like to do and don't care about results for a long time. Just love it.
Yeah.
And I remember a great example from one of Jeff Bezos' friends. He told that he couldn't get results 14 years. He couldn't sell even one piece of product 14 years. Today, his company, multi-billion dollar company, 50 offices in 50 countries, well-known product, but he didn't give up 14 years without any sales. Jeff Bezos called him mad, crazy guy. So yeah, if you love what you do, just go in ahead and forget about haters. Just do your job. And Melanie, my next question about mistakes. In my life, I made a lot of mistakes. I keep doing them. A lot of mistakes. It's really too hard to count all of these mistakes. But I got experience how to go ahead. So, can you list mistakes that companies still do in content marketing, in marketing, and your tips how to avoid them and find another way?
For sure. So one thing that's really common, and we've hopefully, talked people out of this already, but one thing that's really common, as you said, is kind of like looking at your competition and just copying what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's not going to help you stand out. Worst case scenario, like best case scenario, you're going to look like a bad imitation of your competition. It doesn't get you where you want to go. So that's a big one. The other thing we see a lot is people get super excited. Maybe they're new to a job or they have a new product or something, and they go all in a way that they cannot maintain. So this is like what you said, someone gets super excited. Oh, we're going to start a podcast. It's going to be amazing. They do one episode and then they're so overwhelmed. It's not sustainable and they can't keep up the pace. That could mean that they're all of a sudden trying to post every day on TikTok, 3 times a day on LinkedIn. They're trying to do a YouTube video twice a week. And they just overcommit. And then you can't possibly keep up because you're trying to do too much at once. So we see that happen a lot. And then on the other side of trying to do too much and getting overwhelmed, we have the people who are overwhelmed, so they don't do anything. They're just like, I don't understand TikTok. I don't want to dance, so I'm not going to try anything. I'm not going to do social media, or, I don't know how to make a video, so I'm just not even going to engage with that. So you kind of got to find your safe spot in the middle to say, yes, there's a lot of things that I could be doing. Yes, I can't do all of the things. So what do I find the things that I can do so that I don't fall into one of those two traps of doing too much or not doing enough? You want to find that middle ground where you can actually make a difference in your marketing.
Nice, love it. And I have the question about your experience. For example, I found that I usually get good results with customers who understand SEO. If they understand, then we can cooperate like a cohesive team. Because my team, including me, we are not magicians. We don't know how to provide results if
Yeah.
someone doesn't understand what we do. So I usually tell customers who ask me, please provide traffic, and don't know what kind of traffic, don't know anything about SEO, I tell them, take my course. Learn from Lily Ray, Jeff Coyle, Mike Phillips, plus 50 top well-known experts shared lessons on this course. So you can learn. It costs like $10, $20, but you can get basics what we need to do, why we need to create high quality content. And Melanie, I have the question to you. Let's imagine you started from scratch without any experience, knowledge, skills.
Mhm.
You didn't write these awesome books. What will you do today to learn more about marketing, journalism, writing, and to acquire this experience again?
Yeah. So there's a few folks that I trust a lot in the space, and I'm looking at my bookshelf because I keep my favorites close by. Everybody Writes by Anne Hanley is a book that I recommend all the time. She just released a second edition, and this is such a really good starting point for understanding what you can do with content, the role that content can play, the benefits of content, and how to create content people actually care about. So I would say that's probably a really good starting point if this is completely new. But I think that honestly, I'd probably try to identify some of the best events in the space. So whether that's like webinars or online courses or in-person events where I can learn from a lot of people at once, I think that's probably going to be the most effective way to just gather a ton of information from different experts all at one time.
Nice, nice. And can you tell how you divide learning and practice? Because I see,
Mm,
when people learn and do nothing, almost nothing, I think it's better to practice, to provide, to implement. And I prefer to learn less, but to practice more, to make my hands dirty. Yeah, what
yeah.
do you think about?
Oh, that's a really good one. So I'll be the first to admit I probably tip too much toward the learning side myself.
Hmm.
I think everybody learns in different ways, right? I know that some people
Yeah.
really learn best by doing. I'm a kind of person who had a lot of questions, and so I kind of just keep digging and keep asking until I feel like, okay, I understand it. Now I'm going to do that. So I think it's different for everybody, but yeah, it's important when you start that learning process to
Hmm.
think about what your goal is and to have like an endpoint. So, one thing that works really well for me is to say, okay, I'm going to use the next week to learn about this topic. And then starting on Monday, I'm going to be doing that thing, right? To give myself a deadline to say, like, this is how long I'm going to, like, and depending on the project, it might make sense to do longer, but this is how long I'm going to allow myself to be in the discovery phase. And this is when I'm going to switch into the action phase. Because you're right. If you don't, there's always going to be more to learn. There's always going to be things you don't know. And so if you don't have
Yeah.
that deadline, that action point, it can be really difficult to switch into it. So it's funny. This is something that with Creator Kitchen that we kind of like built into it because we found that exact same thing. Like I'm not the only one who can get stuck in that learning phase, and especially with creatives, we feel like there's always more that you could be learning. So, like for us, what we do is we built in co-working days. So there are days where it's not a learning day. We show up and everybody is working at the same time. So it's like a way to say to kick it into action to say today's not a day for watching videos, reading articles. Today, we're going to all together make progress on our goals. We're going to work on making something happen. And you have that accountability of, in 2 hours when this sprint is done, we're going to be asked, what did you complete? What did you do? What did you work on? And what progress did you make? So I think finding some method of accountability that works for you. If your own accountability doesn't work, then finding buddies, friends, colleagues that you can have accountability with can help.
Yeah, you can ask on Google, if you want to learn from others. So yeah, and you mentioned a few times about Creator Kitchen. I know that all companies have their unique selling proposition, their benefits,
Yeah.
advantages. So can you tell what kind of customers you have, and what is your strong side to help much better than your competitors in this field?
Yeah, so interestingly, there's not actually a lot of companies that do what we do. So we're not selling a product. We are a sort of membership mastermind hybrid. So the ideal member of the Creator Kitchen is someone who's been creating in some capacity. We have writers, podcasters, speakers, things like that. Typically for 5 years or more. So 100% of our members have 5 or more years experience creating whatever it is they create. And actually 2/3 of them have 10 years experience. So these are senior folks. This is not necessarily an introductory course or, sort of like a place to start out. It's really for folks who have hit a point where I need friends, I need a community, I need people to help me accountable and help me continue to grow, because a lot of the resources are for people who are just starting out. So senior marketers, senior creators who are looking for community, looking for accountability, and looking for a really flexible way to continue to grow creatively. Because I think what Jay and I have found is that for a lot of folks, if you write a book or you start a podcast, you kind of can just get into a cycle and get complacent. It's very difficult to continue to push yourself, to continue to try new things when you've found something that works well. So having that space where it's like I'm surrounded by other creators, by other creative energy, and we're helping one another, we're giving each other feedback. It's just a really good way to ensure that you're still continuing to grow.
Nice, nice. Love it, Melanie. It's a big pleasure to get on my show, to learn from you. You always share a lot of valuable insights. So kind with that. Tell the best way how to keep learning from you, how to follow you, how to reach out to you.
Yeah. So if you're curious about Creator Kitchen, that's just creatorkitchen.com. So you can learn plenty about that. Let me know if you have questions. Happy to help. And my website is storyfuel.co. So storyfuel.co. That's where you could learn about my books, about, bringing me in to speak if that's of interest. Just find all my social links so you can connect with me wherever you like to hang out and create content.
Nice, nice, guys. And I recommend to read these awesome books, Prove It, Content Fuel Framework, because it's very important today to be creative in your content creation process. If you're not creative, then generic marketing doesn't work. It's better to create one piece creative content than 100 pieces, the same content,
That's
similar
right.
content that you have online. Melanie, thanks again. A big pleasure. Love all your valuable insights. You're so kind, so kind, to share all
Thank
this
you.
value. Guys, you need to follow Melanie because you can see a lot of value. Okay, love you. See you.